Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, this one for patch 12.12, and in this one we have a revitalized meta purely because we had the durability patch 2 patches ago. Taliyah has been nerfed, Virkaju's now been nerfed, Amumu has been buffed, although does it do anything? Let's find out. But overall there have been a great many changes and the metascape has changed drastically. And to guide you on this journey, I have now released another live companion coaching guide, this time for Warwick. This is basically an AI Virkayu coaching you over your shoulder on the champion and in the jungle with a ganking tier list, a game plan maker, the best builds, roots, runes, all packed up into a really condensed package. It gives you tips based upon the game state, it gives you lane prior information, it will give you early game, mid game, late game macro tips, everything you need in terms of jungling with how to path, play, and carry, but also everything you need to know about Warwick in terms of combos, team fighting, and how to play the champion in every single way. For both the Volibear guide and the Warwick guide, I wrote 13,000 words each. I will be making guides for other champions, so make sure you go have a look at those. The first 20 reviewers will be able to keep the guide for free. If you own the Warwick guide, you'll get 20% off the Volibear guide. If you own the Volibear guide, you will get 20% off the Warwick guide. And obviously for everyone, if you want 20% off, VirkWW20, that's your code, 20% off for the week. Go ahead and start using the champion to climb all the way to Diamond, all the way to Master, everything you need to know about the jungle, all in one live companion guide coach linked below. And for context, my Volibear guide has been out about 8 months and there are 20,000 games played on that champion with the guide active. We still have 5-star reviews and people have been loving that, and this is just a Warwick version of this. But now let's jump onto the S tier page. Wukong, the Monkey King, he is at the top. Yes, Bel'Veth is seemingly stronger and seemingly the better pick. I'll talk about her in a second. But I believe from low elo all the way to challenger, Wukong is the best jungler in the game at the moment. Yes, they nerfed his clearing speed a little bit, but as you're seeing from the last video I released this week, the ganking spam is returning just a little bit. People are understanding that 3-camp action into more map control can really still give you the juiced experience you all want. In addition, even though the Monkey King won't be farming AFK like a Karthus or a Diana, he can still 5-camp and match them pretty well, and he has the unparalleled PvP capabilities contained within his kit. And ultimately, all you really need to do is make sure you're putting yourself in a good position for those dragon fights, herald fights, and AoE team fights, such that you can just dominate them with your double knockup, the unique flanking angles you have for fight entry points, but also ganking entry points with your W, but obviously your E allows you to target swap and your Q gets reduced cooldown. Essentially everything you need in a champion in the current meta to fight the long fights of the new durability meta, he is exactly what you need in every single way. Go on jungler, fling your feces. Next up we have Bel'Veth. Now someone was completely wrong about them in every single way because they were just being played absolutely wrong. I said on Twitter since release, since on PBE I said this, she feels good, she feels strong, she's gonna be a bit of a menace. Her Q is magnificent, her W is a great entry point, her E sucky with Bloodline specifically can be so damn strong. And obviously getting those Void Corals from the Baron and the Herald, you can solo Baron by the way very easily, equals a huge split push component that if your team are completely useless, maybe a bunch of monkeys like the aforementioned champion, you can simply take control of the game yourself. Now they did nerf her a little bit because she was disgustingly broken in low elo because apparently not letting her farm was too difficult, but they thought there were nerfs or a shift. In my case, I thought, oh, well, this is a little bit of a buff actually, I don't mind. It feels quite nice to play with the extended attack range. But please remember, you are not an AFK farmer. You can fight early, you can get ganks early. You're just looking to stack yourself through farming as a byproduct of that action. So, nice hybrid style champion for the meta, great resets on your ultimate for those heals, and of course becoming your true form. The champion is very strong at all tiers of play, all the way up to the top. Next up we have Volibear, and of course, you know, I have a guide for him out as well that will be linked below also, but the thing is, the champion, for once, has seen everything around him get nerfed, shifted, moved around, changed, adapted, items affected, and he is literally just chilling. I don't really think he needs a nerf in so much as everything around him kind of just go weaker, but obviously that will be the end result. I hope it isn't and they buff other things instead, but the champion allows you so much versatility, much like Wukong in terms of fighting, farming, and team fighting, and there isn't really much that can match up to him early game in a 1v1 sense. Obviously with my build, the Trinity Force Titanic Hydra Frozen Heart variant, you're having a lot more carry potential, but if you just want to go Titanic Hydra Chem Tank, you have tank access backline, a lot of damage, you're unkillable, and you're something that all Predator junglers wish they were. Fast. Next up we have Diana, and now on the release of the durability patch we all thought, well, her win rate's looking kind of bad, and that's because people were so used to just getting proto belt, QEing in, Ring, and people were dying. That wasn't happening, so they had to adjust their rotations now, maybe use a secondary rotation of spells, a few more auto attacks, and as players have adapted, they realize, wait a second, she's still one of the best in the game. She still full clears like an absolute destructoid, whatever the hell that means, and then she still becomes a dominant teamfight and split pusher later on in the game. Essentially, if you're playing Diana before and you're playing Diana now, you will be thriving in the jungle providing your jungling is good and you understand how to carry games. If you don't, it's not because of Diana, it's because of you. Champion strong. Obviously, that Sunfire build I talked about is still going around as being really, really good, and I think that's something people should think about playing potentially if they really want to get in the mix. But overall, all of her build sets look solid. Next up, we have Graves, and yes, his win rate is looking a little bit pitiful for what you would expect it to be, but I have no doubt in my mind that the master of jungle flow and tempo control, because he can, invade, clear, gank, fight, he's the whole package really, Twisted Fate agrees, that he is one of the best in the game, even if his win rate does not represent it. His pick rate is really, really high though, and his performance is really determined by the pilot. So if you main Graves and you're struggling to get wins and control games, again, it's like Diana, it's not because of the champion, it's because of your jungling, so look to reconcile those things, learn the principles necessary in order to win. Obviously, pressure and tempo are huge with Graves. But Kayn is an interesting one because the data looks strong and Rust looks very, very strong. Blue Kayn isn't having as great a time as Rust, but of course, in the 99% of the player base, if you pick the right form, you will be able to win because Blue Kayn overkills people anyway, and that E is so disgustingly broken. Kindred is the interesting one. I've always loved Kindred, obviously an original main of mine from season 6, I believe. I did around 200-300 games of them in that season particularly. We could rush Black Cleaver Sterex with Devourer. What did you want from me? It was so fun. Whether you're preferring a snowball serrated Dirk into a collector RFC for winnings by 20, whether you're preferring going Blade and Wit's End for attack speed drainage, or whether you're preferring PDIE full-on crit assassination mode after Kraken, all of those things are after Kraken by the way, the champion is simply demolishing the competition. However, please remember, you are not AFK farming, you are looking for the 3-4 camp action, you're looking to invade, get in their face, use unique pathing with your Q-hops over walls, get into those lanes as a ranged component ganks are much more free this way. And because they have max HP and missing HP in their kit, obviously they were primed to thrive in this new meta. And another one of those champions is Zac. Now, he's been strong for a very, very long time actually, and obviously the Demonic's Embrace shift at the beginning of the season really helped him, and people have been rushing that second for a long time. But essentially, who's killing this champion? The E ganks, the disruption, the damage actually is so disgustingly strong. I have to put him in S tier now. I've seen enough of it. His traction and play rate is going up. You're seeing people play him in lane now as well, AP, although that's been done for a very long time. I don't know why they think it's a new thing. At this point, you've been around so long, people are coming up with builds that they think are new meta and sort of releasing clickbait videos on them, but we've been doing them since season 3. But specifically in the current meta, yeah, Zac can do your damage even as a tank. You don't need to build full AP for this. And of course, you're maxing E and destroying everyone from long distance range. They're not going to respect you. They're not going to put deep vision to understand you. They're just going to go, Zac, passive jungler. I can do what I want. I can control the map. And then before they know it, you have 90% KP, you've done the most damage, and you're blowing up yourself like a balloon around their nexus. And now we take a casual stroll down A tier street, and at the top of this list is the Queen Rek'Sai. Now, in theory, you could put her in S tier, but her play rate isn't high enough to justify it in my opinion. She is definitely giga strong. If you watched the previous video on early game ganking and spam ganking, she's absolutely best suited for that style, but naturally requires a bit more knowledge about tempo control, pushing the map and closing games out. That is what some people kind of lack in certain MMR ranges, but overall, remember, she has insane AD ratios on her ultimate when your Conqueror is fully stacked with itemization, of course, and her E does true damage, which means you don't really care about resistances. Next up we have Kha'Zix, and you might have thought, hey, whoa, normally he's on the first page, isn't he best assassino? Can't you go sort of ghost into weird kind of builds now? Yes you can build him whatever way you like. However, his performance just isn't top notch at the moment. His win rate just isn't as high as it has been. He is still struggling to find that sort of dominating streak that he had for so long, which is okay because it's nice to put him on this page instead of the first page. The whole grouping, teamfighting, CC, hard to kill meta isn't always the best for assassins, but if you're a good Kha'Zix, you will find a way for it to work. Just look at a Gurren. Next up we have Shyvana, and yeah, she's really strong. You could justify her S tier page, but I don't really think you need to because there are ways to play around her. She still has significant weaknesses that can be exploited, and obviously, even though she becomes a raid boss, there's a lot of time for you to do something about it as the enemy jungler. That being said, the Demonic's Embrace Frostfire build, yeah, that's still spreading some disease. Following this, we have Rengar, again, one of the best in high elo, you'll see in that section in this video. But at the same time, those nerfs that came forward about 1 or 2 patches ago in terms of clear speed, those did affect the general population's ability to get out on the map with a certain amount of HP to do the things Rengar does. stack his bone tooth by killing everything. However, if you are a good Rengar player, you have no issue climbing to Diamond. I do put him for Diamond only because I think, you know, when you reach Diamond Plus and you're trying to get Master and playing high elo, there's just a certain fusion of farming tempo, ganking tempo, invading tempo, map tempo, understanding the full nature of the game as well as mechanical prowess that allows this champion to dominate so much. But if you happen to be gold plat, yeah, of course, you can still use the champion, he will be fine, but he definitely isn't as nearly oppressive as he was when the rework first came through. Man, finally, you know, everyone said, well, no, he's not really S tier when I put him S tier and he had a 48% win rate, and I said, well, he had a 48% win rate because you kept building Divine Sundra rather than adapting into your Conqueror, PTA, Kraken Slayer, Trinity Force, Divine Sundra sort of rotation based upon the best situation. And now, of course, because of the Divine Sundra and pro play presence, obviously still worked in that arena, the base heal, 2.5 to 2% of the target's maximum HP. And the big number on the bonus physical damage for his R was, instead of going from 15 to 25, it's now 12 to 20. So that's a 5% nerf at max rank. That is a meaningful nerf, and we're seeing that in the win rates. I still think he's a great jungler. I still think you will easily carry games with him if you're a good Viego. However, it's not an auto win in a lot of situations, and it just allows a bit more outplay in those sort of heal and R situations. I'd like to say a bit more about Nunu and Willem, but I really don't have much to say. They simply are benefiting from the nerfs, the systemic nerfs to other strong champions like your Talias and Viegos and so on, and the strength of tank itemization now specifically for them in allowing them to control rivers in a bit more of a ganky meta that's developing, equals they thrive. And obviously objective control is top notch. Echo is a great skirmisher, a great scaler, a great assassin, someone that is always underlooked in the jungle and is always playable. If you wanted to climb whatever rank to challenger, you could have done it. Nothing really stopped you. However, obviously matchups and general jungle metas can make Echo feel a little bit weaker than he necessarily is. But at the moment, if you look at the win rate, you look at the play rate, you look at playing him, and then you see how it feels once you start one-shotting AD carries or Sorakas, you can see dude's still strong. And finally, I actually struggled to put someone here. You could put Trundle. A little bit of a hidden OP at the moment. Super strong. Bit of a problem. But Lilia, even with the nerf that came through last patch, I still feel like she's a great pick. Her win rate doesn't represent it, but I do feel like if you play Lilia properly, you can still really enjoy the current meta in terms of matching that skirmishing power that we're seeing from certain junglers with the farming tempo that she just simply outshines them at. Because she is something that likes to skirmish, to get in and out, to keep doing damage, to use her team fighting. If you are simply AFK farming with Lilia and not being involved, you're playing her incorrectly. And now for a trip to the low MMR ranges, obviously you see Balveth at the top here, Shyvana very strong, all of the usual suspects, but the return of the Mummy Amumu. In fights where you have multiple spell rotations now, because of the added resistances of everybody, mana costs can have a really strong impact, and obviously the huge buff to his Q mana cost and the damage on his ultimate have shown him a lot of strength back in the low elo ranges. Obviously, Mordekaiser and Warwick are the great ones for this elo. You would have seen my pre-roll on my Warwick guide, so if you're looking to get gold, that's the best way to do it. But at the same time, things like Warwick and Mordekaiser can easily be used to get gold, to get diamond, and to get master tier. So those champions are the champions in low elo here. Same with Shyvana, same with Volibear, same with Wukong, same with Balveth. You can stick with them for long periods of time and really become masters at the champion, which is great. Because as you can see on the high elo page, there is a lot more crossover now in terms of the most picked and best performing junglers with the general population recommendation that I have in this video than we usually have. The only big exception here is obviously going to be your Nidalee and your Talia. Talia nerfed but still strong. Nidalee always a perma high elo pick, specifically in Korea. But there are also so many choices that you're not seeing on the first 8 tier. I'll put them up as an animation. Really, again, high elo is about pilot difference and using the meta champion you have to your advantage. But there's so many good, strong, and viable junglers that you can have at the moment. Really, it's about how you want to apply them to the meta. But you're seeing here the best for high elo overall, the best overall for every other rank. And if you want to learn how to play these early game skirmishing spam ganking junglers, click the video in the box on the top right. And if you simply want to understand more about how to be a total jungle carrier and make your laners respect you, click the video in the box in the bottom left.